We are asked to write linear equations given a table, a graph, or in the words of a story. We need to recall that the linear equation is written by the equation y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. And x and y are any ordered pair that would be on that line. We also need to remember that the slope, which is m, is also called the rate of change in our graphs and tables. Let's see if we can write an equation from a table. On our tables, this will always be x, this will always be y. Y is the total cost, or whatever the function talks about. It's a total answer. In this case, the table shows us the total cost for a bandsaw and extra blades. So here is the total cost of the saw when we don't have any blades purchased at all yet. And the first step in solving our problem is to find the slope, which is the rate of change. And we do that by finding the amount of change in each of the x values. We see that each of the x values change by +1. Then as we begin to buy more saw blades, we see the y's change by +4. Slope is always measured y over x. So this means the slope is 4 over 1, or it is 4. Then we write down the formula or equation y equals mx plus b. And then we begin to substitute into that formula. Y is the total cost, so we use c. M is equal to 4. X, we're using E for the number of blades. And B is the cost of the saw by itself when we have not purchased any blades. So we just substituted in this, and 150 for the B. Now we're going to find the total cost of the saw plus 10 blades by substituting 10 for the E, which is the number of blades. So the formula C equals 4 times E plus 150 becomes 4 times 10 plus 150, because we're substituting 10 blades for E. And this becomes 40 plus 150, and the answer is $190 for 10 blades and the saw. Okay, you try this one. We can see that the rate of change is the x's are going up by 1 and the y's by 39. So the slope or rate of change is 39. So we're going to be finding the total number of inches. So we'll replace or substitute I for y, and we will substitute 39 for the slope. As you know, slope is m. And x will be substituted for the number of meters. We will not be using the y-intercept or b in the remainder of these examples, so it is 0. So the total number of inches, or I, equals 39 times the number of meters we're putting in is 9. So the final answer for the total number of inches in 39 meters is actually 351 inches. Right there. Now let's see if we can write an equation from a graph alone. Everything will be the same, except we have to calculate the slope with the slope formula. I can pick any 2 points I want. Those are easy. I'll pick those. So I subtract these points. I get 1 and 20. And our slope is reported as y over x. So this means the slope or rate of change is 20 over 1, or 20. So this is a graph of showing what a florist does selling roses by the dozen. We're going to write the equation to find the total cost of 12 dozen roses. Write the slope-intercept formula. Substitute in C, the total cost, and M, the slope is 20 times the number of roses. More specifically, times the dozens of roses. That gives us the equation C equals 20 times 12, and the total cost will be $240. Note that we are not using B because it is the y-intercept of 0 in this case, so it doesn't add to our total. Okay, now you try this one. In this problem, we're going to try to find out how many trees would be saved if 500 tons of paper were recycled. We begin by using the slope-intercept formula, y equals mx, but the plus b, we don't have a y-intercept, so we have 0 there. We begin to write the equation, we need to calculate m. And for the calculation of m, I'm going to use these 2 points because they're easy. And when I subtract the points, I get x value of 1 and y value of 17. Slope is always reported y over x, which will be 17 over 1, or 17. So the 17 goes in for m. Instead of x, we use p, which is for paper. We substitute 500 for the tons of paper and multiply. So we would save 8,500 trees. Last of all, we're going to try to write an equation from words in a story. Everything will be the same, except we will have to translate the words into the slope number. And here it is. A store receives an average of 7 new movies per week. That should be recorded as 7 new movies in 1 week, and that's the slope, or 7. It can be identified as a unit rate by the per week. We will find an equation for the number of new movies in any week by writing the equation for the slope-intercept, y equals mx plus b, but we don't need the b part. We don't have a y-intercept. The total of new movies will be m. The slope is 7, and x is substituted for the number of weeks, which is w. Now that we have a formula that would work for any number of weeks, we're going to solve it for a total number of movies in 13 weeks by substituting 13 for w. So there you have it. The total number of movies in 7 weeks is 7 times 13, which is 91 movies. There you go.